really is like we're growing our own money. Howdy folks, welcome back to Black Sheep Meadow. I'm Brent.
And I'm Amber.
And we got a wealthy one for you today.
That's a good one.
So we're in halfway through. We've already made it 6 months into the year 2023, and Amber and myself are attempting to grow 80% of all of our own food this year, and it has definitely reflected on the grocery bill every week.
Sure has.
So if y'all recall, earlier this, actually was late this winter, early this spring, we did a 9-box store garden soil test in these containers right here behind us. We did an early Jersey Wakefield cabbage that we tested 9 different box store garden soils. The only thing different from each container was the garden soil itself. It was the same amount of sunlight, same amount of water, same amount of everything, same conditions all the way across the board. We ranked those from 1 to 9. And whenever the cabbage was harvested, we came immediately afterwards and planted a summer medley squash in these containers.
Yeah, so I'll link the video to that video somewhere over here. There'll be a link for it. And it's worth noting that as the cabbage had been harvested or failed in some sense, that's when we planted. So all but the first and second place cabbages were planted at the same time. The first and second place were planted 2 weeks later because we let the cabbage go another 2 weeks before we actually harvested it. And first place is still first place. Last place is still last place. And it's amazing to see the difference.
If you want to look at cost, what it costs to grow your own food, I think this test is just phenomenal. It means a lot because whenever you go to a big box store and you're looking at different garden soils, you could have, I've seen some of the higher end soils be over $45 for a 1.5 cubic foot bag. And when you're looking at filling 9 different containers or producing like this year, we did 157 of these containers for our own food. You can actually spend quite a bit of money if you're having to buy that soil from the store.
I mean, the optimum is that we produce our own compost and our own soil, but on the large scale, or if you don't have the acreage to do that, it's just not feasible for a lot of people. So knowing what you're buying and what you're getting, I think is super helpful, and it helps save money at the end of the day, and we can all use that.
Correct. So we're growing our wealth with our squash and our cabbage here in the 9-box store garden soil container test.
It is really amazing that these two are 2 weeks behind. Even though they don't have any fruit on them yet, they are very close to having fruit. We already have one on this end down here. We have a small zucchini, right?
Correct. Yeah, we actually have 2 small zucchinis down on this end.
Yeah. So they're doing really well. I'm really impressed.
We're going to get into growing our own protein, which is very wealthy all in itself. Let's go check them out.
Let's go check them out. So guys, we're here at the chicken tractor, and as you can see, the meat birds have moved out of the brooder box into the chicken tractor. They're currently about 2.5 weeks old, and they're doing really well. We did lose 2 the first couple of days, but since then, they've all seemed really happy, really healthy. In the heat of the day, they're not very active, but it's been over 100 degrees, so I don't really blame them. We've had to set up a double canopy here to provide them a little bit more shade, even keep it a little bit cooler. We've actually set up a box fan in here for them that they're definitely taking advantage of, but they're doing really good. Chickens, these meat chickens have definitely been a cost saver compared to meat from the store.
Like for like chicken, if you were to go to the same grass-fed chicken and purchase it in the store, these chickens are far easier on the pocket. I mean, we're saving a lot of money this way. I can also say I just can't see us going back to store-bought chicken. The flavor profile and the quality of the meat is just...
We are really impressed with how well they've come out, how well they taste. Processing them is, it's a one-day thing, but it's definitely worth it on our side. But this is something we are going to continue to do for years to come. If you don't do this currently, this is definitely something to look into if you have the space and the time. And what I like about the meat chickens is it's a 7-week-ish commitment. And then you can still go, you're not having to babysit them after that. Yeah. Where when you have cattle or pork,
365 days.
Where the chickens, you can kind of plan that out. Like you're not on vacation, you're not having any plans to do anything. You've just got 6 or 7 weeks that you're blocking out, and then you're done.
And then
So-
this is our second batch of meat chickens this year. We still have one more. And as far as if we want to talk about wealth, I guess this year we've grown almost 2,000 pounds worth of food so far this year.
Yes.
So think about how many $1.99s or $3.99s per pound that is. And
it's definitely adding up.
correct. So let's go check out the main garden.
Let's get over there.
All right, so here we are at our main garden, and I think this is probably, we put the most effort into this area this year.
The main garden is always labor intensive. And if you have a garden of any size, you know that an in-ground garden is labor intensive. So, yes.
So as you can see behind us, this is where we grew our sweet corn this year. And I'm not going to say that crop was a success because it was far from that, but it was definitely not a failure either. You know, we did have some sweet corn, maybe not as much as we've had in years past. But I think we had a lot of early season rains this year, which hindered the plant and maybe created some pests. And
we've talked about it before. The sweet corn variety that we keep trying to grow is very susceptible to pest, disease. It is really hard to grow, especially in our area. But it's delicious corn when you can get it to work. So it's worth the effort, I think.
So something I'm going to change next year on this is, obviously you can see it right now. It looks horrible. But at the end of this field, we had a sunflower field and a watermelon patch that used the same irrigation as the sweet corn on this end did. So I had to leave, because we're using drip tape, I had to leave the irrigation running across the sweet corn to get to the sunflower and the watermelon patch. Now, while it worked, I think next year I'm going to run a trunk line down the middle on the other side, or in the middle of the field, and then we're going to divide it off. That way I can utilize this end of the field while the sunflowers and the watermelons are still growing.
We can get in here and actually work it with a tractor because it's too large to work by hand. But with the irrigation down, you can't get the tractor in here without tearing all of that up, and we don't want to do that. But the watermelons did really well.
Yep.
We were actually successful with cantaloupe this year,
Yep.
which was really nice because we had struggled with that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really awesome.
Our cantaloupe, we've actually had some store-bought cantaloupe this year, and we've had our cantaloupe.
Yes.
And our cantaloupe is far superior, and I guess we're not just biased. We actually have some pictures to show how the color of our cantaloupe was way stronger than the dull.
It's definitely a stronger smell. It was smaller, but to me it was more potent in a small package.
More flavor.
Definitely more flavor, more juicy. It weighed more than the store-bought one, even though the store-bought one was bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, really nice. When you grow your own wealth, you're growing your own food right here, and you can just really appreciate it.
So here in the next few weeks, we're going to get a video just on this where I come in and completely take all this out. We're going to come back with the cowpea. I've had several different people request in the comment section on other videos about when are you going to start your fall garden. Well, cowpeas are going in here, as well as I may even do some late season okra. We were very slacking on the okra this year.
Yeah, it just, time and heat got to us.
And I want to show y'all. Check out over here. This
trellis.
is our garden trellis. I just picked a few tomatoes off there. We still got I think we should easily, out of all of our tomato plants, we should easily get 100 pounds or better. Amber's done a phenomenal job in the kitchen preserving. I think we have 29 pints of Italian tomato sauce that she did last weekend with another 3 quarts. And I guarantee we can double that still this year.
I plan on doing at least one more run of probably just a straight tomato sauce, or maybe a tomato, like a chunky tomato, and then maybe like almost like a paste or a tomato soup, and canning that. Last year, I only did I think it was 19 pints, and we ran out
very quick.
Very, very quickly. So I really want to beef up the amount of tomato that I have preserved on the pantry shelf. So, and the tomato plants are still rocking and rolling. You can tell that the heat is making them struggle just a little bit, but that trellis being the cover for the tomatoes is awesome. We're going to leave the vines up on the green beans and the trellis, because even those dead vines are providing shade for the tomato plants that are there. That is doing wonders in there. Everything's struggling a little bit because of the heat. You want to
talk about wealth, though. We grew over 100 pounds of just Blue Lake green beans on, I'm going to say, about half the trellis, because on the other end we had a butternut and a spaghetti squash. Mm-hmm. And I can't even begin to tell you the dollar amount that we have produced off of this. This is just great.
I not counting the fresh and the green beans that I gave away. I processed, or have processed, over 50 pints of green beans out of our garden. So that is 50 pints that we'll be able to eat throughout the year and have our own vegetables. I love that. I just absolutely love it.
Not to mention for the past 3.5, 4 weeks or so, we've been eating green beans fresh almost every other day.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty much dried up now as far as the fresh green beans. We're done there. But that is going to stay. The rest of the garden is going to have a drastic makeover over the next few weeks. I mean, this is all going to come up. This is all going to come down. The tractor is going to get in here. I'm sure we'll take you through, the day in the life or the vlog of us actually going through all of this. The rest of the sunflowers will come down. It's going to be a lot of work here in July. The heat's going to be affecting us pretty good. But
so we encourage y'all, though. I mean, grow your own wealth. I don't know if we mentioned before or not, but we have definitely made money growing our own food this year.
We have.
Not to mention what we sold, just to random people that have come by, bought potatoes
and that's something else that we're talking about fall. Some of the fall things that we are planning besides the cowpeas is we will have potatoes in the ground for fall.
Yep.
What else are we doing for fall? We'll start planning for winter.
Yeah, we're going to start doing we're going to do more leaves, cabbage and lettuce. A lot of that's going to go into our cold frame box or other raised beds. We're going to do, like I said, I'm going to do a late season okra. Okra loves the heat. This 102 stuff.
It's going to thrive.
Yeah, it should. So,
and then we'll also plan for some broccoli and some of that type stuff that's more of your fall winter crop that we're going to start preparing for because that's what we have to do now.
Yep. So we encourage you, grow your own wealth. Quit depending on the system. Become ungovernable.
If you have any questions, let us know. If you like what we're doing, leave a like, subscribe, comment below.
We'll see y'all next week.
See you next week.